Not only does the Second Amendment give us the ability to thwart tyranny and protect ourselves and our families, it also has spawned incredible firearms along the way. We Americans have a knack at engineering, especially when it comes to guns. We cut some out of whole cloth and others we improve on time-tested designs. And in the end, we come up with implements that change world history. With that in mind, here are the top 9 most American guns of all time. Of course, we know we might have left out your favorite or added one you don't agree with. Share your thoughts in the comments below. American Long Rifle. Good for injecting lead into distant deer and redcoats alike. More generally known now as the Kentucky or Pennsylvania rifle, these elegant flintlocks are a symbol of American independence, and they gave the colonists a great advantage in the American Revolution, with the gun's rifle bore and long barrels extending their users' effective range out to 200 yards and beyond. While they played a role in the American War for Independence, it was small compared to the British-made Brown Bess musket, the primary arm of our nation's army. The rifles came about during the French and Indian War with Lancaster, the most commonly referenced place of origin. Not only does the Second Amendment give us the ability to thwart tyranny and protect ourselves and our families, it also has spawned incredible firearms along the way. It is generally accepted that the American long rifle was a modification of the Germanic Jaeger rifle, produced by Swiss and German settlers of the region. But there are more recent theories that suggest English trade guns also had a large influence on the design, particularly the American long rifle's longer barrel and smaller caliber. Colt Paterson. To be sure, Old Sam Colt and his company would go on to produce much more iconic firearms. But the wellspring was the Paterson. Patented in 1836 and produced until 1842, the cap and ball, black powder pistol was the first commercially successful repeating firearm to use a revolving cylinder. As Colt's fans most likely know, the popular story is Colt conceived of the revolver during his teenage years at sea, inspired by the ship's steering mechanism. That might be, but there were likely examples of flintlock revolvers, such as Alicia Collier's he saw on his trip. They were somewhat common in India, and his destination was Calcutta. No matter how inspiration struck, we Americans are sure happy it did. Not only did the design lead to some true firearms legends, it's still a concept that dominates nearly 200 years later. 1860 Henry Rifle. If the brass receiver of the 1860 Henry doesn't spark some primal urge to thumb off 16 rounds as fast as you can work the lever, then there is no hope for you. The repeating rifle was the brainchild of Benjamin Tyler Henry, sort of. It was basically an improvement on Volition and volcanic rifles, designs Oliver Winchester acquired when Volcanic Repeating Arms went bankrupt. Henry soon set to refining the design when he was hired by Winchester in 1858 as superintendent at the New Haven Repeating Arms Company. Perhaps one of the weightiest modifications was the self-cocking mechanism that operated in concert with the lever action. The gun saw some action in the Civil War, but was by no means the dominant arm of the conflict. However, the fact soldiers would spend their own hard-earned pay to purchase them to take into battle speaks volumes as to what the rifle brought to the fight. It was also the foundation with improvements for the majority of lever-action rifles that would go on to win the Old West, such as the Winchester 1873 Model 1873 Colt Single-Action Army. There probably isn't a single pistol that encapsulates more of America than this Colt. It is the West forged in steel. A testament to this, these single-action legends have been rolling off reluctantly so, upon occasion Colt's assembly line for going on 150 years. The gun itself doesn't represent a huge technological leap from what was being produced at the time. But when prevailing design points of the era were married to the powerful 45 Colt round. While the United States Army originally adopted the revolver, the lore around it grew from its use by famous good and bad guys of the Old West. The likes of Wyatt Ear, Bat Masterson, Doc Holliday, and others all relied on the accuracy, power, and reliability of the Colt at one time or another. Springfield 1903. As far as war horses are concerned, few have been ridden longer than the Springfield 1903. The tried-and-true 5-round bolt action made its appearance soon after the Spanish-American War and served all the way up to Vietnam. Heck, the United States Army's drill team still snaps to attention with this classic at their side. The rifle came about due to United States troops being outclassed by the Spanish Army's M1893 Mauser in the Spanish-American War. Utilizing design points from the Springfield Model 1892 to 1899, Craig Jorgensen, and the Massword G98, the 1903 was born. The two biggest improvements on it from the Craig Jorgensen were a faster-to-load internal magazine, one able to utilize stripper clips, and a chamber able to handle higher pressure rounds. 1911 pistol. A true red-blooded American semi-auto. In the 20th century, there has been no more revered firearm than the M1911. Created by prolific firearms designer John M. Browning, the semi-automatic pistol, or some variation on it, has seen action in nearly every American conflict since World War I, and like the Springfield rifle, the pistol was born out of the harsh lessons of war. In the Philippine-American War, Moro Guerrilla just wouldn't drop after multiple shots of 38 long Colt from soldiers' Colt M1892 revolvers. Long story short, this sparked trials to replace the revolver that lasted nearly 6 years. In the end, Colt's M1911 was the last gun standing. What made it a desirable sidearm is what still attracts shooters today: its simplicity and reliability. A look back at the field tests themselves sums it up pretty well. During a 6,000-round test fired over 2 days in 1910, Browning's sample pistol became so hot that it was simply dunked in a pail of water to cool it for further firing. Browning's sample reportedly passed the test with no malfunctions. The other aspect of the M1911 that makes it so desirable, its chambering. The fortified CP delivers a lot of energy on the target, but not at the cost of being unmanageable. M1 Garand. Of all the arrows in the United States military's quiver during World War II, the M1 Garand was the sharpest. While the rest of the world's military forces were playing around with bolt-action rifles during the conflict, the Yanks were laying down accurate, high-volume fire with the M1. In short, the Garand was decisive. No wonder Gen. George Patton dubbed it the greatest battle implement ever devised. The .30 caliber M1 Garand was adopted by the United States in 1936, replacing the 1903 Springfield. John Garand, who was as unique as his weapon, devised the rugged and reliable rifle. The French-Canadian immigrant caught the attention of the government, who gave him a position at the Springfield Armory. The machinist-turned-engineer spent the next decade and a half basically devising the M1. Luckily, it was just in time to lead our boys to victory in the countryside of Europe and the islands of the Pacific. AR-15. This is the undisputed modern-day American rifle. If for no other reason than how dang widespread the AR-15 and all its variants have become both on the civilian and military markets. And with manufacturers playing with new chamberings and design points all the time, only expect the black rifle to grow in scope and scale. As far as American gun designs are concerned, at least circa the 1950s, the AR-15 was a radical departure. Plastic, aluminum, small caliber, it seemed to run counter to all intuition, especially for a rifle that would, or more precisely its military adaptation, the M16 would eventually take the place of the wood and steel M14. Perhaps the most revolutionary point of Eugene Stoner's design was the use of direct gas impingement to cycle the AR-15. While the concept existed, it was not the dominant design point at the time, with most of the world's semi-automatic rifles utilizing short and long-stroke piston systems. Stoner not only engineered a lighter rifle, but a more accurate one, due to the fact that the AR-15's barrel was essentially free-floating. The other aspect that has kept the rifle rolling is its capacity. The AR-15's eventual chambering of the small-bore, high-velocity 5.56 NATO 223 rem not only allowed more rounds per magazine, but also more ammunition to be carried on person. Remington Model 870. It makes sense there is only one shotgun on this list, because there are few other smoothbores that are even half as prolific as the Remington Model 870. The only one that gets close is the Mossberg 500, which has surpassed the 10 million mark. As of 2016, more than 11 million of the rough and ready Remington pump actions had been produced. That puts it up there as one of the most manufactured firearms in history, a list primarily dominated by military rifles. The reliable 870 has played nearly every role expected of a shotgun, from hunter to home defense, weapon to law enforcement tool to battle implement. To the first point in that list, 870s could very well have put more meat on the table than any other gun given its sheer profusion. What made the 870 and still makes it such a hit when it was introduced in 1950 was its affordability and performance. Utilizing new post-World War manufacturing techniques, Remington was able to churn out these dependable, well-made smoothbores en masse and economically. The first year alone there were 15 different models to choose from. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give us a like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Also, make sure to hit that bell icon so you do not miss out when we release a new episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.